time for Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, Sportsnet LA presents the Dodgers as they take on the Milwaukee Brewers. Hi, everybody, and a very happy and pleasant Father's Day to you, wherever you may be. We're here at Dodger Stadium looking at the two clubs and wondering what's going on behind the scenes. First of all, the Dodger bullpen is very tired. 16 and a third innings in the 3 games against Milwaukee. So they made a move. Mike Bolsinger did not pitch well last night. He's on his way to Oklahoma City, and the Dodgers have brought up former right-hander Carlos Frias, who'd been with the Dodgers in 2014 and 15. Now look at the pieces on the board. The Giants have won 7 straight. They're finishing up their series with Tampa Bay. They then go to play 4 in Pittsburgh. The Dodgers playing well at home. They've won 10 of the last 13 here. When Milwaukee leaves, in comes Washington through Wednesday. The Dodger bullpen, as we mentioned, is tired, so the Dodgers now will rely on Kenta Maeda. Maeda with a record of 6-4. It's Father's Day for him. He is the proud dad of a daughter. On the mound, a real Father's Day for Matt Garza. It's only his 2nd start this year. The other start was against the Giants. Why? Well, his wife had 4 children with him, and she became pregnant, and it was twins. She was confined to bed. So Garza dropped the glove and ball, went home, picked up the vacuum cleaner and the broom, and for quite a while, he was mom and dad. So he had twins, and with 6 children, he'll be on the mound today for Milwaukee. Tomorrow night, Kershaw and Strasburg, but right now, stay tuned for a good ball game and a whole lot more coming up right away. Mother's Day to all to whom that applies, and wherever you may be. We're at Dodger Stadium. The color for the day is designed throughout the major leagues. It's a powder blue stockings, and for Milwaukee, their whole uniform is a little different, a bluish blue, and also with gray cap. So it is a salute on this most important day, of course, to fight the #1 problem for males, and that, of course, would be prostate cancer. So the teams throughout the major leagues are saluting the project to try and overcome that problem. And meanwhile, we'll concentrate now on the game. For the visiting Brewers, who have lost 2 out of 3, they're battling to get a split. And here's the way they stack up. Jonathan Villar, the shortstop, leads off. Scooter Gennett at second base, and Ryan Braun in left field. Chris Carter hits cleanup at first base. Aaron Hill at third. Kirk Neuenhuis is in center field. Martin Maldonado will be behind the plate. Ramon Flores in right, and Matt Garza on the mound. On the mound for the Dodgers, and he is so thankful that he is on the mound, and that would be Kenta Maeda. Maeda last time out pitching against Paul Goldschmidt, the big slugger for Arizona, and Goldschmidt hit a shot that struck Maeda on the kneecap. Fortunately, it struck him on the side of the leg, and although he was in great pain for a while, he was able to get up and walk by the next day. But it was a vicious shot. Maeda, like all true battlers, hit, was hurt, but still made the play and threw Goldschmidt out. So he's back up on his feet on his own power. He had to be helped off in Arizona, and we'll see how Kenta goes today. It's Father's Day for him. Kenta has a young daughter. Jonathan Villar, a switch hitter, batting left-handed, finds shortstop and swings, fouls the first pitch away, and the count 0-1. Villar in the series 5 for 15. He has a 7-game hitting streak, and he's batting .302. Half a dozen home runs, 25 stolen bases. Strike one pitch, bunted foul off to the left into the stands. The temperature here, they tell me right now, 99 degrees at Dodger Stadium. So the folks have come prepared. Some have those little fans that run on a battery, a lot of hat gear, a lot of water. And the strike 2 pitch is fouled away, and Villar is still there. For Kenta Maeda, he's better with long rest. He is not a big man. He is not that strong a man. On 4 days rest, he is 1-4. On 5 days rest, 4-0. 6 days, 1-0. For him today, he is working on 4 days rest, which is not happy. The pitch now is fouled away, and it's still 0-2. Well, the Giants trying to win their 8th in a row. They are leading the Rays 5-1 in the bottom of the 8th inning. So the Dodgers trying desperately to catch up, and the Giants keep putting the pressure on, trying to pull away. Strike 2 pitch on the way, breaking ball low, 1-2 the count. Maeda trying to give the Dodgers the series win, making it 3 out of 4 before welcoming the Washington Nationals. 1-2 pitch on the way. Kenta deals, and it's fouled back. Washington here tomorrow night. 17 games above 500. 20-12 at home. 23-14 on the road, leading the Mets by 6. Strasburg, Steven Strasburg, he'll be going up against Clayton Kershaw tomorrow night. 1-2. Maeda into the windup, and the 1-2 pitch is stroked into right center field. On the horse is Peterson to backhand it on the dead run. So Jock Peterson takes an extra base hit away from Villar. And with 1 out, Scooter Gennett coming up.
Second baseman number 2, Scooter Gennett.
All of his speed was necessary for Peterson to be able to catch up to that thing. So a nice play by Jock. 1 out. Scooter Gennett getting in, switch hitter. batting left-handed. In fact, check me on that. Vilars, the switch hitter, Gennett just left-handed. For the last 12 games, Scooter has been hitting more like a giant, hitting in the 380s. Takes an off-speed pitch in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Gennett in the series 4 for 12. Left-hand batter fouls the next one away, and the count 0-2. For Maeda, again talking about the fact that he's not a big man, he has not been blessed with great strength. So he does well the first time through the lineup and gets by the second time. The third time, however, he's been battered. The strike 2 pitch in the dirt, and the count 1-2. So you put it together, it's 99 degrees. On 4 days rest, he is 1-4 and figures to run into his trouble the third time around. Meanwhile, on Father's Day, the fortunate man has one of those fans with water helping his daughters, and the 1-2 pitch on the way fouled upstairs, and the count stays. No balls and 2 strikes. Dodgers have been doing well at home. They've won 10 of the last 13. They will be challenged, of course, starting tomorrow night. Although being led by Justin Turner, it has a whole new look. 1-2 the count. Maeda ready, deals down and away, and the count 2-2. Nationals will be here 4-3, and if you're making your plans, Kershaw and Strasburg. Scott Kazmir will go against Tanner Roark Tuesday night. 2-2 pitch is nubbed foul, so he's still up there as Gennett. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The concluding game on Wednesday, Joe Ross for Washington, and the Dodgers will counter with Julio Urias. So it's Kershaw, Kazmir, and Urias against Washington. Mike Bolsinger, who struggled last night, is on his way to Oklahoma City. 2-2 pitch, a high fly ball to deep left. Back goes Peterson at the wall, watching it go over the wall for a home run. So Scooter Gennett hits his 6th home run, 18 runs batted in, and Milwaukee takes a 1-0 lead. Milwaukee scored in the first inning last night. Actually pulled out in front 5-2, only to lose at 10-6. So Gennett, the left-hand hitting second baseman, hits one out. For Maeda, as far as home runs, that would be the 6th one that he allowed. And now here's Ryan Braun. Braun, 12 home runs, 37 runs batted in, came here in somewhat of a slump and has fought his way out of it. Braun had a home run last night. Right-hand batter swings, doesn't get the first one. The game before last, Braun had 2 singles, a double, was hit by a pitch, and stole a base. And in the first game, he had an infield single to go 1 for 4. So Braun hitting .312, and the next pitch to him inside under the hands, 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-0 in favor of Milwaukee. They are 16.5 games behind the Cubs, but they play well at home. They're 2 games above 500, and the Dodgers on the trip will go to Milwaukee. The pitch to Braun is popped up on the right side. It will be Utley in alongside Gonzalez making the catch, and we have 2 down. Let's take a look as Gonzalez and Utley exchange remarks. It's Gonzalez and Utley on the right side, Seager, Turner on the left, Kendrick, Peterson, and Thompson in the outfield, and A.J. Ellis gets a chance to work, catching Maeda. 2 down, first inning. Big Chris Carter checking in. He's big, 6'4", 245 pounds. Dodgers have pretty well kept him in check. Big swing and a miss. For Carter, with 86 strikeouts, and we're still in June, 18 home runs, 15 doubles, and 43 runs batted in. is the strike one pitch. He has a look, and that's in there, and the count 0-2. Even the umpires are celebrating Father's Day. They're wearing blue wristband, all four of them. Here's the strike two pitch, punched on the ground wide of first. Going to be a race, Maeda and Carter, and Maeda reaches first, handling the throw by Adrian Gonzalez. However, for Milwaukee, a run, a home run by Scooter Gennett. And at the end of half an inning, Milwaukee won, Dodgers coming up. Half of the first inning, and we'll take a look at Dave Roberts' lineup. And it starts off with Chase Utley at second, Corey Seager at short, Justin Turner at third, Adrian Gonzalez at first, Trace Thompson in right, Jock Peterson in center that already made a fine play, Howie Kendricks in left, A.J. Ellis behind the plate, Kenta Maeda on the mound. For Maeda, before we look at Matt Garza, Maeda made 20 pitches, and Gennett fouled off 4 before hitting the home run. And keeping track of foul balls in this heat will be a major job. But let's take a look at Matt Garza. His wife was pregnant. She was confined to bed. They have 4 children. She eventually delivered twin boys. But for about 6 weeks, he was not so much father as mother. He said, there was cooking and cleaning, shuttling around 4 other kids. It was hard. I had to live her life for a while, you know? And, of course, every woman within shouting distance can say, yeah, we know. And the first pitch to Utley, in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Chase trying to get them started, hitting .261. The next run that he scores will be number 1,000 in his career. Garza, big man, comes back over the top, and the fastball is high. 1 ball and 1 strike. So Utley, alternate starts in the heat. Matt Garza, whose full name Matthew Scott Garza, of Mexican descent, but he's from Selma, California, not far from Fresno. He's big, 6'4", 215 pounds. Fastball fouled away, and the count 1-2. Among other things, well, back in July of 2010, he was pitching for Tampa Bay, and he had a no-hitter against Detroit. 1 man got on base, a walk, and the next batter hit into a double play. So he faced only 27 batters in that no-hitter. Matt ready and comes back 1-2, and a breaking ball is inside, 2-2. In 2008, Matt Garza was the American League Championship Series MVP and went on to help the Rays win the World Series against the Red Sox. He was 2-0 and had an earned run average of 1.3. So Garza knows how to pitch. 2-2 pitch on the way is banged up the middle. A base hit for Chase Utley. Utley looking to see where the center fielder was. He was thinking too, but Neuenhuis was on the ball, and so he'll hold it first. We can take a look at Milwaukee defensively now. They shape up. Carter and Gannett on the right side. Villar and Hill on the left. Braun, Neuenhuis, and Flores in the outfield. Martin Maldonado handling Garza. So Utley a base hit. It's 1-0 Milwaukee. We're just starting. And the batter is Corey Seager. Seager checking in with Justin Turner on deck. Garza out of his stretch. Short lead by Utley, and the pitch to Corey is outside. Ball 1. 1-0. Seager hitting .277. He has a double, 4 for 13 in the series, this being the fourth and final game. However, the Dodgers will be in Milwaukee the last 3 days in June, 28th, 29th, and 30th. The next pitch to Seager low, 2-0 the count. For whatever reason, Milwaukee plays well at home. They're 19-17, but on the road, 12-21, much to the concern of their young manager, Craig Counsell. Here's the 2-0 pitch on the way. Garza set, checking with Utley. Now to the plate. Curveball is banged into left center field. That's heading for the wall. Hits the base of the wall, and there will be runners at second and third with nobody out. Corey Seager just did get into the bag at second. So Seager doubles, Utley goes to third, and the Dodgers are in business. So as far as Matt Garza is concerned, it might have been tough acting as a mommy with 4 kids and a wife who could not get out of bed. But now he finds out how tough it can be right here on the mound. Second and third, nobody out. And here comes Justin Turner. Turner doing some miracle work. Last night, he had a walk, a 3-run home run, and a single to drive in his 4th run of the night. The game before, he had 2 home runs and a single for the walk-off base hit in the 10th inning. So it's a new Justin Turner, or maybe what we ought to say is it's the old Justin Turner who's returned. Takes a breaking ball outside corner. Milwaukee, usually in a scramble, their pitching doesn't usually hold up, so they don't play the infield up. They're back in double play depth. Turner, Gonzalez, and Thompson posing quite a threat for Matt Garza. Garza set at the belt, looks at the runners. Now the strike one pitch swung on and fouled away, and the count 0-2. So Justin Turner feeling more chipper about things. He was reminiscing, was Turner, about a memory of his dad. There was a Christmas video that he still has. He was about 3. His dad bought him a plastic T-ball set. He said, I still watched it. I have a slide, and I slide down the slide, grab the bat, hit the ball off the tee, and then I go shoot a basket, all at 3. Strike 2 pitch, swung on and missed. Fastball up and in. Turner tried to lift it and came up empty. So Garza gets a strikeout. 1 out, and Adrian Gonzalez coming up. Gonzalez last night put on a bit of a clinic. He doubled to right, he singled to right, and he rolled one up the middle for a base hit. So he suddenly perked up in the last 2 games. Adrian is 5 for 9, and his average up to 275. Normally, Gonzalez does his hitting big time on the road. Garza with 1 out, runners at second and third. Gannett's out in right field, and the first pitch outside, ball 1. They've tried to defend Gonzalez. The other night, he singled twice to the left side. So they're not overly committed. Villar is still on the shortstop side of the bag. Second and third, 1 out, 1-0 Milwaukee, and the Dodgers trying to take the lead. Garza at the belt, comes back over the top. Curveball is whacked down the right field line, foul. So Adrian got all of it, maybe too much, pulled it too much, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Adrian with a half a dozen home runs, 32 runs batted in. Garza, very deliberate, set at the belt, looks at the runners, and the 1-1 pitch on the way, swung on and fouled the other way. The difference, he had a curveball that he pulled foul to the right. He had a fastball in on the hands, and he just did foul that off to the left. So he was properly jammed. So holding at third base is Utley. At second, Seager. 1-0 Milwaukee. Bottom of the first inning. Matt Garza, 6'4", 215, 33 years old in November. And the pitch to Adrian is at his feet. Nice block by Maldonado. 2-2. Garza, as we look at that powder blue outfit worn by Maldonado, Garza is kind of a rare thing, one of a small number of players. He advanced through the minors and into the major leagues really in 1 year. Matt ready, and the 2-2 pitch on the way, swung on, little flare into shallow left field. On the dead run is Braun to make the catch. Tagging up, coming to the plate, and being tagged out is Chase Utley. So Utley thought maybe Braun would throw towards second base. It was a nice running catch by Ryan, who was deep. Instead, the Dodgers come up empty. So 7-2 if you're scoring to erase Utley at the plate. No runs, 2 hits, 1 left. Braun gets an assist at the end of an inning. 1-0 Milwaukee. Scott Van Slyke spending part of Father's Day in the Dodger dugout. He has 2 sons. We believe the younger one, Jackson, is in his arms. And we go to the second inning, 1-0 Milwaukee. Aaron Hill, Kirk Neuenhuis, and then Martin Maldonado. First pitch to Hill misses. 1 ball and no strikes. Aaron playing all games at third base. He had 2 hits last night, going 2 for 4. He is 5 for 12 in the series. Aaron takes the next one low, 2-0. Hill has batted in the number 2 slot, and then he has batted down at number 6. He had a home run, single, and a walk in the first game of the series with Scott Kazmir. Fouls it off, and the count 2-1. If you joined us a little bit late, Scooter Gennett, the second baseman for Milwaukee, fouled off 4, battled Maeda, and then hit a home run. And Milwaukee leads 1-0. 2-1 pitch on the way, inside for ball 3. 3-1. Don't forget, Washington here tomorrow night. Strasburg and Kershaw. 3-1 pitch on the way. Taken for a strike, 3-2. So Kenta Maeda gives up a run in the first inning. He worked hard. He made 20 pitches. Pitch count today in the heat, it's 99. Has to be a factor. 3-2 pitch reached for, and a high fly ball into shallow left. Coming over is Kendrick to make the catch, and we have one away. So with one down, barely a cloud in the sky. There are a couple of clouds that look more like flying saucers than clouds. See, one right over the American flag in dead center. Tell me that's not a flying saucer. So one away, 1-0 Milwaukee, and here's Kirk Nieuwenhuis, and he takes low, ball one, 1-0. Nieuwenhuis had a base hit and a walk last night, and he appeared twice as a pinch hitter, grounding out once and walking the other. The next pitch taken for a strike, 1-1. Last year, Kirk Nieuwenhuis hit 4 home runs. Unfortunately, 3 of them came in one game for the Mets at Citi Field. So now he's with Milwaukee. Pitch outside, 2-1 the count. Kirk is a big fella, former football player. He has those sloping shoulders that make you almost imagine you can see the shoulder pads underneath the shirt. 2 balls and 1 strike. Maeda over the top. Shot putting a change up and missing away. Ball 3. 3-1. Kirk Nieuwenhuis runs very well for a big man. 3-1 pitch taken way off the plate for ball 4. So 1 out, a walk to Nieuwenhuis. That will bring up the catcher, Martin Maldonado. He is no relation to Candy Maldonado, who played for many years and played for the Dodgers quite a few. Martin Maldonado is the unofficial barber of the Milwaukee Brewers. And pretty good reason. Barbers are in the family. Martin takes a look at ball 1. His brother owns a barber shop in Puerto Rico, and Martin spends a lot of time there. So he decided to learn how to be a barber. Took classes, practice in his brother's shop, gave a few haircuts. The word spread in the minor leagues. All the guys were getting haircuts from Maldonado. He takes a strike, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Another Puerto Rican catcher. I mean, his predecessors, including all the Molinas, Benji, Jose, Yadier, Sandy Alomar, Ivan Rodriguez, and his favorite, Benito Santiago. 1-1 pitch is lined to right field, coming out for it, lunging and making the catch. And a great play by Thompson. No play at first, but he just took a base hit away. So a clean shave and a haircut given to Maldonado by Trace Thompson. Sinking line drive to right, and Trace made a fine diving catch. 2 out, Nieuwenhuis holding at first, and Ramon Flores coming up. So Trace, who has done so many great things with the bat, now makes a big play with the glove. And the first pitch now to the left-hand hitting Ramon Flores. That's outside, 1 ball and no strikes. Last night, Flores singled to right, singled to center, stole a base, scored a run. Went 2 for 4. The 1-0 pitch, instead a throw to first. You would get the feeling Milwaukee steals at any time. So with Nieuwenhuis, he's stolen 5 out of 7. Craig could be running him, even though we have the number 8 hitter in the lineup. The next pitch, off speed, breaking ball for a strike, and the count 1-1. Milwaukee has stolen 62 bases. Twice they pulled off the double steal against the Dodgers. 1-1 pitch foul back. 1-2 the count. The word, of course, on Milwaukee, they'll steal a base at almost any time. With all those stolen bases, they're about 75% higher than the National League. The running game is disappearing. Here's the 1-2 pitch. There he goes, and it's foul back. So they were running Neuenhuis with the 8th man in the lineup. You do not see that very often. Then again, you're 16 and a half games back. What have you got to lose? So Neuenhuis goes back to the bag. Flores waiting on a 1-2 count. Flores, 1 home run. He hit it against Jacob deGrom of the Mets. 1-2 pitch, runner holds, pitch is low, and the count 2 balls, 2 strikes. Brewers will move on. They'll go to Oakland. Dodgers will dig in against the Washington Nationals. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Neuenhuis off the bag at first. Maeda looks over at him. He's not going, and the pitch fouled away off third upstairs. So still 2-2. Hope you'll be with us for the night games with Washington, with Matt Garza waiting on deck. What an opening act. Clayton Kershaw and Steven Strasburg. The other night, I think I said Steven Spielberg, but I regret to say he is unable to pitch. Throw to first, not in time. Back to the bag goes Neuenhuis. Two and two the count. Well, 12 foul balls so far against Maeda, working very hard. There goes Neuenhuis. What a jump. There isn't even anybody covering second base. So we mentioned they will run any time. And what a time to go. He had such a jump, no one even recovered to go to the bag. There wasn't anything Ellis could do. And Neuenhuis steals his 6th out of 8. So when you're going to play Milwaukee, you at best stay on your toes. That was stolen on Maeda. He had a huge jump. Wasn't a thing Ellis could do. And for that factor, Ellis didn't have anybody to throw the ball to. 3-2 the count to Flores. The pitcher Garza on deck. Milwaukee leads 1-0. We're in the top of the second inning. Flores waiting for the meeting to break up. In the first inning with 1 out, Jeanette fouled off 4, hung in, and then hit a home run. Dodgers had second and third and nobody out. Turner struck out, and Gonzalez hit a little fly ball to left that was caught by Braun, and he nailed Utley trying to score. 3-2 the count. Maeda looks back at Neuenhuis. Cantaretti delivers, curveball, slap foul off to the left. Flores had to actually reach across the plate to take a swipe at that, but he was successful. The fouls now 8 in this at bat. Ramon Flores from Venezuela. Here's the 3-2 pitch on the way. Maeda set, ready, deals low and inside, and ball 4. So 2 walks, and Matt Garza coming up.
Matt Garza.
Matt Garza, even though coming to the end of June, he's only had 1 at bat, made an out. That was against San Francisco. Then again, now that you know his background, this is only his 2nd start. So Matt, right-hand batter, 2 on, 2 out. Maeda ready, delivers, big swing and a miss, and the count 0-1. So Maeda, who has now made 44 pitches. Noel Coward, a great professional actor, songwriter, singer. He wrote a classic in England, Mad Dogs and Englishmen Go Out in the Midday Sun. The next pitch in for a strike. Maeda now with the count 0-2. 2 on, 2 out, second inning, 1-0 Milwaukee. I always remember the Rifleman. Remember Chuck Connor in television? He went over to meet Coward as the pitch is swung on and missed. Chuck said, "Mr. Coward, I'm Chuck Connor." And Noel Coward said, "Of course you are, dear boy." And at the end of an inning and a half, 1-0 Milwaukee. There's a lot going on in the Dodger dugout. And there's Clayton Kershaw with his little daughter Callie. And as little ones are always want to do, they'd like to take a look at Dad's sunglasses. And the best thing to do is give in. So she'll take a look, and we'll take a look at the bottom of the second inning. By the way, Ellen, Clayton's wife, comes over, checking Callie and cooling her off. Not a bad idea today. Thompson, Peterson, and Kendrick in that order. Well, we can tell you the Giants are still at it. They won again. They've won 8 in a row. Giants beat the Rays 5-1. Derek Law in relief got the win. Jake Peavy went 6 innings, allowed 4 hits and 1 earned run. And Brandon Belt hit his 10th home run of the year. The Giants will now go to Pittsburgh for a 4-game series with the Pirates. How are the Pirates doing? Well, not making any noise. They're 14 games behind the Cubs. 1-0 in favor of Milwaukee, with Thompson, who saved a big inning perhaps with that diving catch off the ball of Martin Maldonado. So Trace checking in. 1-0 Milwaukee, bottom of the second inning. Garza looks in to get a sign, turns, and the big man over the top. Good fastball at 92, in for a strike. Trace, of course, when the game is over, you know where he'll be, in front of a television set, watching his brother Clay and the Warriors. Here's the strike one pitch, swung on, high fly ball, appears playable, coming over is Neuenhuis, the center fielder, to make the catch. So 1 away in the second inning, and Jock Peterson coming up. Peterson suddenly alive, leading the Dodgers, waking up the ball club. The Dodgers with 27 home runs. That's the most in the month of June in the National League, and Jock certainly has had a hand in it. Peterson, when he checks in, has a dozen home runs. Seager has 15. Thompson has 11. So here's Jock. Last night, leading off, had 2 singles, a home run, and a stolen base, bunts foul, and the count 0-1. Dodgers have won 10 of the last 13 at home. So they are now 4 games above 500 at home. They are break even on the road, and that's just around the corner. Dodgers have 4 with Pittsburgh and 3 with Milwaukee before coming home to as long a homestand as they'll have. Little ground ball to the right side. Scooter picks it up to make the play. 2 down in the second inning. Howie Kendrick will be coming up.
Left fielder, number 47.
Kendrick homered and walked last night, scored twice, knocked one in. Talking home runs, the Dodgers have 78 and Milwaukee 74. Howie batting .239, little 5-game hitting streak. Into the windup goes Garza. Fastball jumps in there for a strike at 92. Garza, a starting pitcher, and rebelled against Milwaukee. The Brewers wanted to put him in the bullpen, and he said, no, thank you. Here's the strike one pitch on the way. Checked and a little high. Boy, the catcher, Maldonado, just split like a pair of scissors sitting behind the plate. Well, we talked about how he loved Benito Santiago. If you're old enough to remember, Santiago played for a long time in San Diego. Ground ball to third, picked up there by Aaron Hill, and the out recorded. Dodgers go 1-2-3. So at the end of 2, Milwaukee 1 and the Dodgers nothing. The ocean, a little miniature regatta on a beautiful day. And there's also a box kite sailing above. So you can sail, you can float, or you can be at least hip deep in the water. But it is the day for almost anything that's cool. And it's pretty cool to go to the third inning, 1-0 Milwaukee. VR followed by Jeanette and then Braun. Maeda's first pitch, a one-hopper right at Utley. Chase makes the play, and 1 pitch and 1 away. Saturday, July the 2nd, Dodgers and the Rockies, and the first 40,000 fans in attendance receive a 1981 Tri-MVP bobblehead presented by Security Benefit. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. 1 away, and here's the home run hitting skipper Jeanette. Hit his 6th in the first inning after fouling off 4. 1 out in the third. Maeda about ready to go after his man. Kenta into the windup, and the pitch now to Jeanette. He lets the bat slip through as if he's going to bunt, and he takes ball 1. Scooter Gennett. We told the story once in the series. The 1-0 pitch on the way. He takes a strike. When he was about 4, he had the terrible habit of getting into the family car and unlocking the seatbelt. And finally, his mother said, "You do that one more time, I'm taking you to the police." The 1-1 change misses ball 2. So they took Ryan Joseph Gennett, when he did it again, to the police department. And for whatever reason, when the officer in charge asked him his name, he didn't say Ryan Joseph Gennett. He said Scooter. 2-1 pitch taken for ball 3. And ever since, he's been known as Scooter. And by the way, he does buckle up his seatbelt. 3-1 the count. 1 down, 3rd inning, 1-0 Milwaukee. Maeda ready and comes right back. 3-1. Big off-speed pitch that just drops from exhaustion into the strike zone. And the count goes 3-2. That hurried up there about 72. Maeda concentrating on A.J. Ellis. Long concentration, and Gennett backs out. This is the beginning of the second time around for Maeda, and normally the opposition hitting only 189. Next pitch foul back, so Gennett's still there. 3-2. Kenta Maeda. He is listed at 6 feet 155. He might be a few pounds above that. Give him 160. Not much more. He's ready in the 3-2 pitch. Maeda delivers, and that's fouled away. So the bugaboo today will be those foul balls. Takes the same effort to throw an ordinary pitch for a strike or ball, but it just adds to the total as the day goes along. So Gennett, who fouled off 4 his first at bat, has fouled off 2. It's now becoming an 8-pitch at bat. 3-2 from Maeda, and it's a big overhand curveball swung on and missed. So Gennett strikes out. That would be the second strikeout for Maeda. He got the pitch of Garza in the second inning. Pitch was so badly in the dirt, it was actually caught on a big hop, and the tag applied. Now Braun. Ryan Braun popped up, made a good defensive play, had to come a long way to catch a little fly ball by Gonzalez. Utley tagged at third, thinking he might sneak home. End of story. He was caught sneaking. So with 2 down, bases empty, top of the third, 1-0 Milwaukee. And Maeda now working on Ryan Braun. And he promptly bangs it into left center for a base hit. Over to try and cut it off is Kendrick. So into second base easily goes Braun. Kendrick had trouble playing the carom off the ball, and it was finally recovered by Jock Peterson. So a long 2-out double for Ryan Braun. Even had Kendrick handled the ball cleanly off the wall, he was not going to take a double away from Ryan Braun. So the 2-out double will bring up Chris Carter. 1-0 Milwaukee. Carter last night did not have a run batted in. In the game before, he did not have a run batted in, and he did have a home run in the first game. Takes on the outside corner down at the knees. 0-1. One run, 2 hits for Milwaukee. No runs, 2 hits for the Dodgers. Now the strike 1 pitch taken inside. 1-1. Maeda now coming up to his 59th pitch in the third inning. Ryan Braun with his double, waiting for a ride home. Christopher Vernon Carter at the plate. The 1-1 pitch swung on, foul back. 1-2. Carter, in his relatively young career, he started in the minor leagues in 2005, had his first look at the big leagues in 2010. In the minors, he hit as many as 39 home runs. He has 127 in his career. The 1-2 pitch coming up. Maeda delivers a fastball, and that's fouled away off to the second level to the right. And it's still 1-2. Chris Carter was originally drafted by the White Sox. He's a Californian in the sense that he was born in Redwood City, but he lives over in Las Vegas now. Wanted to go to the University of Arizona, but the White Sox gave him enough money to sign. 1-2 pitch on the way. High fastball. He's 6'4", and that was up around his eyes. Maeda now has made 61 pitches. Aaron Hill waits on deck. Brewers leading 1-0. Two balls, two strikes, two out. Now 3-2. Carter, who has struck out 86 times, a couple of years ago, he made a run for the record. He struck out 212 times. That's the third most all time. So he's big, he's strong, and he is definitely a free swinger. Maeda ready, looks at Braun. Now with a pitch down and away on a check swing. No swing, says Ryan Bruckner. So with two out, Braun doubles, Carter walks, and here's Aaron Hill. Carter just did hold that bat back. So Aaron Hill checks in. 7 home runs, 22 runs batted in. Hit a fly ball to Kendrick, leading off the second inning. Brewers 9 games under 500 on the road. Trying to get a split. Then they'll go to Oakland, go home, and host the Dodgers. Dodgers will be in Milwaukee 28th, 29th, and 30th of June. Milwaukee plays a lot better at home. They're 2 games above 500. 9 games below on the road. So Hill now waiting for Maeda. 2 on, 2 out, 1-0 Brewers, top of the third. Are you being careful about the sun and the heat? Hope so. First pitch to Hill, breaking ball, foul back, and the count 0-1. Wherever you are, try to wear a hat. Try for sure to wear sunblock. And whatever you do, make sure you have plenty of water. Electrolytes. As a good-looking father, putting some ice cubes in a baseball hat and putting that on his son's head. That's all right. Any port in a storm. Strike 1 pitch coming up, and that's way inside at the kneecaps, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to seeing Washington. Chance to watch Bryce Harper play every day. That's worth the money in itself. 1-1 the count. Next pitch is a fastball at the knees for a strike. Good pitch. Hill backs out to think about that. And the count 1-2. With 2 out, Braun double, Carter walked, and Hill up there 1-2. So the veteran third baseman, who is a very good player, had 2 cycles inside of 11 days. And the 1-2 pitch coming up. Maeda ready and deals, chased and missed. There was a breaking ball down and away, a slider, and Hill went after it. So 3 strikeouts in the game for Maeda. No runs, a hit, 2 left. And at the end of 2.5 innings, it's 1-0 Milwaukee. Milwaukee. Dodgers will have A.J. Ellis, Kenta Maeda, and then Chase Utley. So Ellis getting a chance to catch just under 200, what happens when you catch about once a week, and he looks at ball one. Although it was kind of lost in the shuffle, but the other night when the Dodgers had their right fielder, Will Venable, double to open up the inning. The count went to 0-2 on Ellis, who was trying to bunt him over, and made a great bunt. Right now, ground ball to short, and he's done, one away. Yeah, it looks easier than it really was. And the bunt by Ellis, 0-2 up along third, was not only a perfect bunt, it changed the whole strategy. That way, the next thing Counsell did was walk two men, and that allowed Turner to come up and go. Base hit, game over. Venable scored the run. He got some press. Certainly Turner got some press. And I don't remember reading anything about A.J. Ellis and that good bunt. But so it goes. One away, and here's Kenta Maeda. Looks at a curveball for a strike, and the count 0-1. One out in the third. Earlier we were talking about Matt Garza. There's a pop foul behind the plate, but out of play. And we mentioned that Garza, back in 2010, had pitched a no-hitter against the Tigers, faced only 27 batters, walked a man, and the next batter hit into a double play. The losing pitcher, as Brian Hagan reminds me, the losing pitcher in that no-hitter was Max Scherzer, who would go on to pitch 2 no-hitters in 2015. Bad play by Garza on a comebacker, and the Dodgers get a big break, and Maeda safely aboard. It'll be an error charged to the big pitcher, though Maeda aboard. First, Garza had trouble fielding the ball, and then he threw a 3-hopper out of play on the comebacker. So Garza perhaps showing some signs that he hasn't played much this year, and the error. So the Dodgers with 1 out have Maeda at first. I'm not sure if they'd rather have Maeda sitting in the dugout. The one thing the Dodgers don't want to have to do today is get to the bullpen early. Dave Roberts' bullpen is weary. 16 1/3 innings just in this 3-game series. And here is Utley, who singled and was caught trying to come home on a fly ball by Gonzalez to shallow left field. 1 out, 1 on. 1-0 Milwaukee. The pitch to Utley at his feet, and it's a 1-ball, no strike count. Aaron Hill is way off the line from third, and he's on the grass. The Hill constantly in motion out there. Utley, of course, is the kind of a player, if he looks out and sees Hill kind of wandering, he might even try to dump one, especially the way Garza manhandled that ball hit by Maeda. 1 ball and no strikes, and the pitch very high. 2 balls and no strikes. Chase checking for a moment. Maeda doesn't figure to be doing any running. They're not going to hold him on. You don't run your pitcher in 99-degree weather. And the 2-0 pitch swung on. High fly ball to left center, going back on the track, reaching up is Neuenhuis, and makes a great catch. And all the way back to first goes Maeda. So Utley hits what they used to call a paint scraper. And Neuenhuis, running parallel to the wall, just did get a handle on it. He's big fella, 6'4", and he needed the height. So Utley hit it a long way, and Neuenhuis made a fine play. Earlier in this series, Neuenhuis threw Gonzalez out at the plate, so he's a pretty good all-around ball player. And Maeda, watching the catch at second, has to turn and hurry back. Two out, Corey Seager coming up. We're in the bottom of the third. Nice play by Neuenhuis, 2 down. Seager doubled in the first inning to the gap in left center. Garza at the belt with a curveball whacked into right field. Over to get the ball is Flores, and Maeda on his way to third, and he is out at third. Nice tag by Aaron Hill, and a great throw by Ramon Flores. So that's a big league inning for the Brewers. First the catch by Neuenhuis, and now the throw by Ramon Flores. No runs, 1 hit. The inning is over, and at the end of 3, 1-0 Milwaukee.
Box. It's back. The Portobello Mushroom Buttery Jack. Taste it before it's gone at Jack in the Box.
A look back on Father's Day. Fernando Valenzuela talking to his young son, Fernando Jr. That's almost 30 years ago. It was 1987. And the proud dad in the booth. I know Fernando Jr.'s played professionally, but I'm not sure if he's still playing or not. Meanwhile, Neuenhuis, who made that fine catch on the ball hit by Utley, will start it off. Kirk Neuenhuis walked, stole second in the second inning, and was left there. The run in the game, the home run by Gennett. So 1-0 Milwaukee, and we move to the 4th. Neuenhuis, Maldonado, and Flores. Neuenhuis walked, stole a base, playing center field. Has a look at a strike, and the count 0-1. By the way, Matt Garza in the 3rd inning made 9 pitches, and in the 2nd inning made only 7. Strike 1 pitch on the way in there. We're looking at the pitch count for Maeda. He's going to make his 70th pitch. And remember, he just went from 1st to 3rd despite being called out. High fastball, and Neuenhuis goes after it. Comes up empty. 4 strikeouts for Maeda.
Number 12, Martin Maldonado.
Martin Maldonado checking in. He lost a base hit on a diving head-first catch by Trace Thompson in right field. So in the heat, both teams playing very well. Ball 1. Last night, the Dodgers won 10-6. They had 14 hits, and the Brewers had 11.
Today, 1 run, 2 hits for Milwaukee. No runs, 3 hits for the Dodgers. Way out in front, lost his bat. And the count 1-1. Martin Maldonado. You know, Maldonado did something he still can't believe. It was back in 2011. The 1-1 pitch on the way, taken for a strike. Maldonado can tell the grandchildren about it. He actually knocked the cover off the ball. You've all heard that expression. Oh, he knocked the cover off the ball. Well, he actually did it. They were playing the Pirates. 1-2 pitch on the way off the plate. He hit the ball just right to tear the seams away from the core of the baseball. So with a chunk of leather flapping in the breeze, Pedro Alvarez picked up the ball, wound up, threw it, and it died halfway to first base. And Maldonado reached safely, having knocked the cover off the ball. And now he just quietly goes away. So 5 strikeouts and 3 in a row for Kenta Maeda. Oh my goodness. The young and the younger. Now be careful. Somebody's in charge. You're about 3. Get out of the way. We want to look at the little ones. And they are little. 2015, so I assume that baby's a little more than a year old. Father's Day at Dodger Stadium. Here's Flores, walked in the 2nd inning. 1-1. Maeda now getting close to 80 pitches in 4 innings. That averages out to 20 an inning. No way. 1-1. Ball 2, 2-1. Washington here tomorrow night. Steven Strasburg and Clayton Kershaw. 2-1. On the outside corner, 2-2. So Maeda now ready to make his 80th pitch. He's been flirting with the corners. He's walked 3. And got him. So he strikes out the side. 4 consecutive strikeouts and 6 strikeouts for him in 4 innings. At the end of 3.5, as we look as he zeroes in on the plate, 1-0 Milwaukee. Are out tomorrow night, Steven Strasburg and Clayton Kershaw. And if you're one of the first 40,000 in attendance, you can receive a Dodger Cooler backpack courtesy of your SoCal Honda dealers. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. Yeah, you talk about Strasburg and Kershaw. Well, Strasburg, 10 wins and no losses. Kershaw, 10 wins and 1 loss. And meanwhile, Justin Turner shows bunt and takes ball 1. Turner struck out at a shoulder-high fastball in the first inning. Garza has 1 strikeout. Maeda has 6. But Milwaukee leads 1-0. 2-0. Matt Garza has not pitched but once this year, and he went 4 innings. So you're not sure about his strength on this hot afternoon. He allowed 1 earned run, 8 hits in 4 innings against the Giants. Almost got Turner. 3-0. Willie Peralta was sent to AAA Colorado when Garza came off the DL. And of course, with Milwaukee, several players, you hear their names as possible trades. And Garza would be one of them. 3-0 pitch in there, 3-1. Certainly Ryan Braun. But if you get Braun, you had better have a lot of money. 1-0 Milwaukee. Bottom of the 4th inning. Matt Garza, Kenta Maeda. High foul ball off first, starting to come back a little bit, lost in the sun, and yet the right fielder Flores makes the catch. I don't know how he caught that, and he has a big grin on his face. It looked to me like he lost it, turned his head, and the ball found the glove. Our ball girl got out of the way. Even with the glasses, it was brutal. And he's looking, and reaches over and makes a wonderful play. So Flores, a dazzling catch, fighting the sun and making the catch, 1 away. And the ball girl just sitting there laughing. She was center stage. Adrian Gonzalez, he had a little fly ball to left field. Utley tried to come home, and Ryan Braun threw him out. 0-1. In the very first inning, Utley singled and Seager doubled into third, and the Dodgers failed to score. Since then, they have just 1 hit, the single by Seager. There was that great catch by Neuenhuis, the great throw by Flores. So Milwaukee playing very good defense right now. 0-2 the count to Adrian Gonzalez. No balls and 2 strikes. Matt Garza, the father of 6. Strike 2 pitch on the way is high, ball 1. I guess the greatest performance on Father's Day would be Jim Bunning, who pitched a no-hitter. But he had a lot of children. I think he had more than 6. We'll see if we can find out. Meanwhile, Gonzalez fly ball to left field. Ryan Braun is there and picks it off with a 2nd out. And of course, Jim Bunning not only pitched the no-hitter, he went to the halls of Congress. Well, we'll see if we can figure out how many children he had. Pretty sure it's more than 6. Wouldn't be double it, but we'll see if we can find out. 2 down, bottom of the 3rd, 1-0 Milwaukee. When you're counting children, it's a pitching duel, and that's exactly what we have. Thompson flied to center, made a diving catch to take a base hit away from Maldonado. Though Maldonado on his knees behind the plate. Stunning in turquoise is Maldonado. And look where he is, way inside. And Garza hits the mitt. 1-1. That's an outfit, isn't it? One ball and one strike. Swung on, line drive right at VR, and that's that. So it's a 1-2-3 inning, and at the end of 4, 1-0 Milwaukee.
Is brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. Toyota's Summer Drive Sales event is going on now, where you can save big on the all-new Prius.
Looking back, Jackie Robinson and his son David on Father's Day. By the way, we were musing about Jim Bunning turning in the best performance we could think of on Father's Day. Bunning pitching a no-hitter. He had 9 children, 5 daughters, 4 sons. Went on to become a U.S. Senator, junior senator from Kentucky. Served 2 terms and retired in 2010. Meanwhile, quite a contrast between the 2 pitches. There's a hopper backing up but letting it get by. He was fooled by it. Adrian Gonzalez. So it looked like Gonzalez was going to make the play and throw the ball to Maeda, and it just went on by.
Jonathan VR.
Adrian backing up, and that just didn't go wide enough at all. So Garza gets himself a single, and the batter is VR. We were talking about the contrast. Maeda has made 82 pitches in 4 innings. Matt Garza has made 44. Maeda ran the bases in the 3rd inning and was thrown out at 3rd. And we'll see, there's a drag bunt, and it's missed. Jonathan VR, double L in there. Fly to center, grounded out. He's a threat in a lot of areas. Switch hitter. He has 6 home runs, 4 left-handed, and if he gets aboard, 25 stolen bases. 1-1 the count. Villar, a very exciting shortstop, and apparently getting a lot of votes for the All-Star game. And of course, if Corey Seager is your man, there's a ground ball to Gonzalez at the bag. The throw down to second. Double play. 3-6. Gonzalez to Seager. And that gets Garza off the baseline and will bring up Scooter Gennett. 3-6. By stepping on the bag, that removed the force play. It had to be tagged by Corey, and he did just that. Gannett homered and struck out. Another big difference between the two teams, the fact that Garza has 1 strikeout, Maeda has 6, but it makes a lot more pitches to get strikeouts, though he's up to 85. Way out in front is Gannett. Looking at Maeda's pitch count, and it figures to be very important today. Back on the 3rd of June, he made 107. 3 times this year, he's made 100 pitches. Little ground ball to Utley. So that's what he needed, an easy inning. Just 6 pitches. And at the end of 4.5 innings, it's 1-0 Milwaukee. Bottom of the 5th inning, still 1-0 favor of Milwaukee. The second batter, Scooter Gennett, hit a home run, and that's that. That little dreamboat in Dad's arms is certainly not impressed by Gennett, but she sure finds her dad absolutely delightful. Look at that grin. Wow. Yes, and right back to you, honey. Meanwhile, father and son deeply engrossed with the dreaded iPhone. I was going to say he's keeping score on it. No. So here's Peterson, grounded out in the 2nd inning, 0 for 1, takes a strike. Garza in this heat has really tossed a minimal number of pitches. Made only 7 in the 2nd inning, 9 in the 3rd. 1-1. Garza's wife presented him with twin boys, so he's the father of 6. 1 ball and 1 strike. One and two. Garza went 4 innings against the Giants. He's now into his 5th inning today. He allowed 1 run in the 4 innings against San Francisco. Time as he works on the laces of his right shoe. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Peterson grounded out. Kendrick grounded out. Ellis grounded out. Those are the hitters due up here in the 5th. One and two. Off speed, swung on, missed the tag. Down goes Peterson. Where Maeda has struck out 6. That's only the second strikeout. Oh, yes. If you have a son, I know what his father's thinking. My boy is a bottomless pit, and especially when it comes to dessert.
I'll walk with you guys for a second.
Dad's got to be proud of him, you betcha. 1-0 Milwaukee, 1 out, 5th inning. Kendrick grounded to third in the 2nd inning. Garza has 2 strikeouts, given up 3 hits. Maeda has given 6 strikeouts. And that's going to be a shot down the right field line for a base hit. It comes off and right back out to Ramon Flores. The Kendrick is stopped at first. So how he gets a base hit, Flores with a good arm. We've seen that when he threw out Maeda. And A.J. Ellis coming up. 1 out single for Howie Kendrick. That would be the 4th Dodger hit. Ball hit the side of the railing and came back. That made it easy for Flores to be all ready to fire left-handed back to the infield. Meanwhile, our star ball girl down there again, getting out of the way. Ellis grounded out, 0 for 1. With Ellis a contact hitter and he likes to go to right field, we'll see about Hendrick. Hendrick has 6 stolen bases. In fact, he is 6 for 6. Garza watching him. Now to the plate. Very high, ball 1. 1-0. We're always showing you, especially today, fathers and daughters, fathers and son. Are you aware of the first father and son battery in professional ball? Here's the 1-0 pitch. Ball 2, 2-0. The 2 names, Frank Duncan and Frank Duncan III. They played for the Negro Leagues for Kansas City, the Monarchs, and they became the first father-son battery in the history of professional baseball. Well, there's a father with, a double play combination. We're so happy to see the children here at the ballpark. That's a blessing. So that's the slugger with the bat. 2 balls and no strikes to count. We'll watch Kendrick. He bluffs. Foul back 2-1. Yeah, the father and the son. The father was a catcher, and long before Jackie Robinson broke the big league color barrier, Frank Duncan was highly reserved, one of the most outstanding catchers in the Negro Leagues. He didn't hit very much, but he was a great catcher, and his son became a pitcher. And that hits A.J. Ellis, and Garza is furious. So the Dodgers have something going after Peterson struck out. Kendrick a single to right. Ellis takes one on the left arm. And the batter is Kenta Maeda. Maeda has 3 sacrifices, and you're certainly looking for that play now. 1-0 Milwaukee, bottom of the 5th inning. Anyway, just to finish it up, well, there's a meeting at the mound. Early in the 1941 season, Frank arranged for Frank III to start a game on the mound for the Monarchs. And young Frank acquired himself very well. He went 9 innings, lost the game 2-1, and his dad was the catcher. So that's the first father and son combination as a battery. So Maeda with the corners up. 1-0 Milwaukee. The Dodgers trying to get off the floor here in the 5th inning. They had 2nd and 3rd and nobody out, failed to score in the 1st, and they're still struggling. Maeda was thrown out at 3rd back in the 3rd inning. See if he can get a bunt down now. And the bunt is down. The out at first, and the runners move up. I'll tell you one thing, that was very close. Maeda almost ran into his bunt. So the sacrifice works. Down to Ellis goes to second. Kendrick goes to third. And Chase Utley coming up. Maeda's right foot just got over that ball. Take another look. Watch the ball, watch the foot right. Oh, it was 6 inches or so upstairs. Look even closer. So the sacrifice works. 2 on, second and third, 2 out, bottom of the fifth, 1-0 Milwaukee. Utley single to center, and then last time up, Neuenhuis had to go up against the left center field wall to handle his fly ball. Strike. Oh, and 1. You have another left-hand hitter behind him, of course, in Corey Seager. Utley, 5 home runs, 24 runs batted in. Fastball, foul back, 0-2. Garza is pitching. He's not overpowering. He has struck out 2. One run, 3 hits for Milwaukee. It was a home run by Gannett. No runs, 4 hits for the Dodgers. And Garza out in front in the count, 0-2. And hold it. The catcher Maldonado decided to go out and talk to Garza. You see Garza holding the glove over his face. What happened was when he was 8 years old, he was watching a Braves game and he saw Greg Maddux out on the mound. Catcher went out to talk to Maddux. Maddux put his glove over his mouth and Garza saw, wow. And then he found out about people reading lips, etc. But that started when he was 8. 0-2 the count. Dudley. Time. Big moment for the Dodgers. We remind you, the Giants won for the 8th straight time. Dodgers have to win. Ball 1. Dodgers with the thought they don't even want to think about it. Lose today, and then you face Washington, and you're 7.5 games behind the Giants while they're playing Pittsburgh. I think you would agree. No way. 1-2 the count to Chase Utley. Kendrick at third, Ellis at second. And a ground ball along first. Fair ball. Carter to the bag. And Garza out of the jam. No runs, a hit batter, 2 left. And at the end of 5, 1-0 Milwaukee. 52 back in Brooklyn and Ebbets Field. Right-hander Carl Erskine pitched his first no-hitter against the Chicago Cubs. Might have been a perfect game, but he walked the opposing pitcher, a former Dodger, Willard Ramsdell. Let's go back to this one. And it's a good one. Sixth inning, 1-0 Milwaukee. For Maeda, he is now beginning to go the third time through the lineup, and that has always been a trouble. The opposition, third time through, hitting .323 against Maeda. Ball one to Braun, who popped up and doubled, 1 for 2. There's always been a footnote to Carl Erskine's first no-hitter. He had 2. Line foul. 1-1. It was a very rainy day. Erskine was trying to get 5 innings in before the rain came, and that's why they claim he was hurrying his pitches and walked about as weak a hitter as you'd find in Willard Ramsdell, the pitcher. Well, he walked him. Sure enough, a little while later, there was a 44-minute delay because of rain. High fly ball, a trio of Dodgers. It's going to drop amongst them. On his way to second is Braun, and he is out running into the tag. Chase Utley making the tag on a high pop fly that dropped amongst Messrs. Kendrick and Peterson and Seager. They're holding a little meeting out there. So instead of a double or just a single, we wind up with an out. Utley right there handling the throw, and sliding right into the tag is Braun. So it's a pop fly single, and then he's erased. So Kendrick gets him, and now Chris Carter checking in. 1 out, 6th inning, 1-0 Milwaukee. Pitch off the plate to the backstop. 1 ball and no strikes. Carter grounded out to Gonzalez and walked with a runner at second in the 3rd inning. Check swing for a strike. Steven Strasburg, 10 wins, no losses. Clayton Kershaw, 10 wins, 1 loss. Tomorrow night, the Dodgers and the Washington Nationals. That's a strike. 1-1. Now 1-2. Kershaw talking to Van Slyke. That'll be a big one tomorrow for sure. Foul back. Maeda now is beginning to fight the pitch count. He's up to 94. And looking at his previous games, June the 3rd, 107. And then you have to go all the way back to April when he was fresh, 101 and 102. So they have to watch him. And of course, what Maeda does as he strikes out Carter, that is the 7th strikeout for Kenta. But what he is doing is buying time, eating up innings for the bullpen. At the start of the game, we gave you the note that the Dodger bullpen has pitched 16 1/3 innings in the previous 3 games. On the corner, good fastball, had appeared to be a little cut on it as well. Aaron Hill batting .267. 0-2. When the Dodgers come up in the bottom of the 6th inning, it'll be Seager, Turner, and Gonzalez. One run, the home run by Gannett after fouling off 4 back in the 1st inning, and that's it. Check swing, strike 3 called, he's done. 8 strikeouts for Kenta. 8 strikeouts is a bunch for him, although he did have 9 against Colorado. It's still 1-0 Milwaukee.
On Sportsnet LA is brought to you by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on our most exciting lineup ever. Shop online at choosenissan.com.
I'll look back to two of my favorite people, Walter O'Malley and his son Peter, looking at the Dodger airplane. Dodgers made history. I think the first team to own their own plane and fly around to cover the National League schedule. Seager at the plate, and ball one. Corey doubled and singled, 2 for 3. 1 run, 4 hits for Milwaukee, no runs, 4 hits for the Dodgers, 2-0. So both pitchers are doing remarkably well. It was 99 degrees when the game started. Garza has made 61 pitches. Maeda has made 98. Ground ball hard, backhanded by Hill. Aaron doing a great job at third. He made a spectacular play in the first game on a ball hit by Turner.
Third baseman, Justin Turner.
1 out, and here's Turner. Struck out, flied out. For the Dodgers especially, they are getting what they desperately needed, innings for a starting pitcher. However, just how long can Maeda go in the heat? Well, there's no one throwing yet in the Dodger bullpen. And Roberts hoping, I'm sure, Maeda can at least give him 7. Oh, 0-1 the count. Turner with Gonzalez on deck. Check swing for a strike. You know, when you look last night, Bolsinger could not get out of the 3rd inning. Urias went 5 in his game. Kazmir went 4. So you have starting pitchers who are not giving you enough innings at all. And the bullpen has already worked 16 1/3. So whatever Maeda has left, the Dodgers want it. That's going to be poked into right field for a base hit. Flores up with it and gets it back in. So a 1-out single by Turner brings up Adrian Gonzalez.
First baseman, Adrian
Turner
Gonzalez.
1 for 3 for the Dodgers, their 5th hit. Gonzalez hit a fly ball turned into a double play, and last time up flied out, hitting .272. Turner, coming off knee surgery, is certainly not busy on the base paths. He is 1 for 2. And the pitch, ball 1. Maldonado is looking for a play, perhaps, to run Turner. 1 ball and no strikes. Turner held on by Big Carter. Garza went 4 in his first start of the year just a few days ago against the Giants. And a strike at the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike. So Garza is into the 6th. Maeda resting to go to the 7th. 1-0 Milwaukee. And hanging over like the sword of Damocles, the fact that the Giants had won. They've won 8 in a row. Remember the sword of Damocles? Damocles saying to the king, boy, you've got an easy job. All you do is the king. You can say anything you want. And the king said, really? All right, I will have you come to dinner tomorrow night. Damocles came, sat down, and hanging over his head, we'll call it a huge sword, hanging by a thread. Ball 2, 2-1. And Damocles, to say he was uneasy would be an understatement. And then he realized to the king, you know what? Your job is so much tougher than I thought it was. So the sword is everywhere, and right now 2 balls and 1 strike. Turner at first, 1 out, 6th inning, 1-0 Milwaukee. We'll watch Turner. He's not going. Breaking ball is low, ball 3. 3-1 to Adrian with Trayce Thompson on deck. Now will the Dodgers play run and hit with Turner? He's being held on by Carter. Takes a pretty good lead. He's not going. Ground ball to the right side. Gannett to VR. VR to first, double play. So the Dodgers couldn't play hit and run or run and hit. And they're done. No runs, a hit, nobody left. A great 6 innings for each pitcher, and Milwaukee leads 1-0. The Dodgers have 3 big ones coming up with the division leading Washington Nationals. Can't get much bigger for Monday night. Strasburg against Kershaw, then Rourke and Kazmir and Ross and Urias. Dodgers then will go out on the road, Pittsburgh and Milwaukee, and then come home, have a long stand before the All-Star break. And a strike, 0-1. Kirk Neuenhuis walked, stole a base, struck out. Made a very fine defensive play. Now bangs one to the gap in right center. Thompson cuts it off and does a good job holding it to a long single. So now the Dodgers getting a little uneasy as they start the 7th with a base hit. And for the first time today, the Dodger bullpen will suddenly have to get in action. So Neuenhuis singles. Pedro Baez is first man up in the bullpen. 1 run, 5 hits for Milwaukee. Maldonado lost a line drive base hit on a diving catch by Thompson. Last time up, struck out. This time pops it up. Seager is there and puts it away. So 1 out, a runner at first, and Ramon Flores coming up. There's no one throwing in the Milwaukee bullpen, so we certainly assume Garza will be coming up. When the Dodgers hit, or at least when they have their at-bats in the 7th inning, they'll have Thompson, Peterson, and Kendrick. Kind of a mixed-up breeze. One flag, the American flag, is blowing out to right. State flag is blowing out to left. Fastball for a strike. Flores walked, struck out, made a great play on a base hit by Seager. He threw Maeda out at third in the third inning. Now Neuenhuis stole second back in the second inning. So the way that Milwaukee runs, he could be going again. Check swing foul. That was one of those borderline pitches up. Flores not quite sure. Take it a swing. Wound up taking a half a swing and fouled it off. 0-2. 1 run, 5 hits for Milwaukee. No runs, 5 hits for the Dodgers. And now Maeda's up to his 104th pitch. Fouled away. Garza due up. Blaine Boyer, a veteran, begins to warm up, right-hander, in the bullpen. No balls and 2 strikes. One and two. Garza standing in the on-deck circle observing. Neuenhuis taking a lead with 1 out. And Maeda decides I'd best go over there. Neuenhuis, when he stole second in the second inning, even though he is batting so far in the lineup, he has stolen 6 out of 8. Ball 2. Ramon Flores. We know a couple of things about him. He runs very well. He's got a fine arm, and he's caught a couple of very difficult balls. So he's a well-rounded player. As far as batting is concerned, however, hitting just .234, goes after one and promptly bangs it to left. Over to get it nicely is Hendrick and gets it back in. So runners at first and second with 1 out, and they are calling Garza back, and it looks like they're going for a hitter, and it's Jonathan LaCroix, their catcher, who is being rested today. So Maeda in some trouble now. Neuenhuis singles, Flores singles with 1 out, and his pitch count is up to 107. He had 107 early in June against Colorado, and I think almost grudgingly Roberts is going to the mound, figuring I'm forced to go to that bullpen. But what Maeda did was give the Dodgers a great 6 1/3 innings. Yep, Dave wants the ball. Maeda goes out losing 1-0 and gets a well-deserved round of applause for a great job on a brutal day. And we'll be back.
Baseball on Sportsnet LA is brought to you by BMW. See a Southern California BMW center today for exceptional offers or visit SoCalBMW.com. And by Children's Hospital Los Angeles. We treat kids better. Father's Day 2016. Kenley Jansen teaching his son Caden how to hold the ball. Meanwhile, Pedro Baez is trying to hold back Milwaukee. They have runners at first and second, one out, and Jonathan LaCroix, the catcher, checking in. LaCroix in the first game had a single and a double while striking out twice. He had a double and a walk in another game, and he had one hit in 4 at-bats in the other. So here he is, Jonathan LaCroix. Maeda went 6 1/3, allowed 1 run and 2 hits, a total of 6. Fastball just off the plate. LaCroix hitting .312 with an 8-game hitting streak, resting today. Baez, who was burned a home run by Villar in the 9th inning of Scott Kazmir's game, being very careful with LaCroix. 2 on, 1 out, 1-0 Milwaukee. Fastball comebacker. Baez hesitates, gets it to Corey, who gets it over the first. Big double play. So Jonathan LaCroix, 1-6-3. Dodgers out of the jam. No runs, 2 hits, and 1 left. We're heading to the bottom of the 7th. 1-0 Milwaukee. Tough ball game, bottom of the 7th inning, 1-0 in favor of Milwaukee on a home run by Scooter Gennett. Blaine Boyer, a veteran right-hander, comes out of the bullpen, and Boyer will pick up, and he has to pick up a great effort by Matt Guerra. Guerra pitching only for the 2nd time this year, held the Dodgers to 5 hits and no runs, and now Blaine Boyer checking in. Dodgers have Thompson, Peterson, and Kendricks. Maeda, by the way, for the 2nd time this year,
made 107 pitches. 0-1. Boyer, a Georgia boy, signed by the Braves way back in 2000. Slider away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Blaine is 6'3", 215. He'll be 35 in July. First came up to the Braves way back in 2005. Breaking ball hit in the air to left center, but it's playable. Neuenhuis is right there. Catches it on the edge of the grass. 1 away. Jock Peterson is coming up, grounded out and struck out. So Peterson 0 for 2. Peterson with 12 home runs, 31 runs batted in, 1 run, 6 hits for Milwaukee, no runs, 5 hits for the Dodgers, and Blaine Boyer trying to get him through. Peterson with Kendrick on deck. Fastball a little low. Blaine's father, Richard Boyer, went to Georgia Tech on a track scholarship. He was also a quarterback. 3 sons, and Blaine one of them right here. High pop fly left side, Hill in Fairground. So 2 down in the 7th inning. And the batter, Howie Kendrick. You can't always rely on numbers. You just take the numbers and see if they apply. We say that because Boyer at night holds the opposition to a .221 batting average. In the daytime, he's roughed up .390. So we'll see what that means with 2 out and Kendrick. Strike. Kendrick grounded to third, single to right, sacrificed eventually to third, and Utley grounded out for the last out in the 5th inning. 0-1. That's just off the plate. Tony Pena, who caught quite a few years ago Benito Santiago, catchers who really got into the dirt. In fact, for Pena, they used to say the only way he could get lower would be to dig a hole and let him sit in it. Well, Maldonado really does some spreads out there behind the plate. Because as we said, Maldonado idolized his Benito Santiago, though he probably catches a lot like him. Look at that. And he'll extend that right leg more. Santiago could throw men out while sitting. He had a remarkable arm. Two and 1. Sliced foul. 2-2. Waiting on deck, A.J. Ellis. 1 run, 6 hits for the Milwaukee Brewers. That first inning home run by the second man in the lineup, second baseman Scooter Gennett. Dodgers had second and third and nobody out in the first inning and failed to score. And Kendrick is swinging a miss. Down he goes. So the Dodgers go very quietly in the 7th. The big boy Boyer leaves. He's got a couple of nicknames. Among others would be Bose and Bullet and BT. Whatever. He's leading 1-0. at 7:10. Be one of the first 40,000 fans in attendance, and you'll receive a Dusty Baker bobblehead presented by Security Benefit. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotion. Well, a tough game gets even tougher under the blistering sky. A few little streaks of white. And here comes Villar, Gennett, and Braun against Pedro Baez. Maeda gave the Dodgers a brilliant 6 1/3. But Garza and now his relief man Boyer has shut the Dodgers down through 7. Hit foul down the line. The paid attendance today is a very good crowd. 45,931. 45,931. That's the biggest crowd of the 4-game series. Despite all the talk about the heat and everything else, the fans come out and they're watching a really tough game. Ball 1. Jonathan Villar flying to center, grounded out, and then last time up hit into a double play started by Adrian Gonzalez. 1-2. 2-2. 96 mph, but it was over Villar's head. Scooter Gennett, with the home run in the first inning, is on deck. And ball 3. Maeda, while he was in there, walked 3 in 6 1/3 innings. Baez came in to face LaCroix and got him to hit into a double play. The Brewers go to Oakland, and the Dodgers stay home for Washington. And down goes Villar. Though we have 1 out in the 8th inning. Scooter Gennett is coming up. He is not known for a home run hitter. Nevertheless, he put 1 out today. His 6th home run of the year, just did clear the wall. That's all he had to do. And that's it. The only run in the game. 1-0. For the Brewers, with Villar striking out, that means they have struck out 9 times, but it is very much of a strikeout team. They've struck out. Wow, I have to add them up. Little ground ball to Utley. 2 down, and Ryan Braun coming up. Ryan Braun popped up, doubled, and singled. The left-hander Will Smith, we've seen him a couple of times. He gets up in the bullpen. Braun popped up to second, doubled to left, single to center. Braun came here struggling, but he's anything but now. 12 home runs, 37 runs batted in. Foul ball, 0-1. Baez is due to bat second when the Dodgers come up in the bottom of the 8th. So Lewis Coleman throwing back of him. Oh and 1. 0-2. Braun, who lives in Granada Hills, he was born in Mission Hills. Talking about Milwaukee striking out. 9 more today. 663 strikeouts, and they have struck out 43 times in the 4-game series. They waste a lot of scoring opportunities just because they don't put the ball in play. 0-2 to Braun. And ground ball to Utley out on the grass. And that'll be that. So Baez came in and got LaCroix to hit into the double play, retires the side in order, and we go to the bottom of the 8th, 1-0 Milwaukee. MLB All-Star Game ballot now at Dodgers.com on your computer, tablet, or smartphone. Vote up to 35 times. That's right. And vote today. Vote tomorrow at Dodgers.com/vote. Will Smith, he's a big left-hander, 6'5", 240 pounds. He is in his 3rd of the 4 games. The only game he missed was last night. Originally signed by the Angels in 2008, never made it to Anaheim, wound up with the Royals and then the Brewers. Will working on A.J. Ellis. Starts him with a strike. Down in the Dodger bullpen, Kenley Jansen warming up. It's amazing going into this series of 4 games. You expected Jansen not only joining Coleman, but also trying for the save that would pass Eric Gagne, and he's not been able to get to that situation. Meanwhile, 1-1, Ellis grounded out, hit by a pitch. One to AJ. Fastball on the corner, 1-2. Will Smith came to the Brewers 2 years ago after having been with the Royals. One and two. Line drive foul. There's Kike Hernandez, though he's on call to bat for Pedro Baez. 1-0 Milwaukee, and we're in the bottom of the 8th inning. got him inside corner. What a pitch. AJ doesn't argue much, has a few words to say. Knowing him, he was just checking and assured that it was a strike. So a fine pitch to take care of AJ Ellis. So 1 out in the 8th inning, and Kike Hernandez checking in.
Number 14, Kike Hernandez.
Hernandez batting .190. He does have 4 home runs and 11 runs batted in. Ball 1. One out, bases empty. Villar and Gennett playing on the rim. That's a little low. 2 balls and no strikes. Hill had been even with the bag, but 2-0 drives him back. And Carter almost all alone on the right side because Gennett is so deep. He's almost not quite the second baseman. 2-0 pitch. Fouled away. 2-1. Garza for 6, Boyer for 1, and now Will Smith. Maeda for 6, Baez for 2. Actually, an inning and 2/3 to be exact. A drive to left, and it is taking off. It is gone. And we have a 1-1 tie. Kike Hernandez comes off the bench to give up the home run against Will Smith to tie up the game. It is the first home run that Will Smith had given up, and boy, it was crushed. Fastball at the knees and driven out. So Kike Hernandez, his 5th home run, and we have a 1-1 tie in the 8th. Now Utley. Slow curveball in for a strike. A pinch hit home run in the big league. Has to be a tremendous thrill. 0-1. 0-2. 1 run and 6 hits for each side. It's been 1-0 since the first inning. And with 1 out in the 8th, Boone against Will Smith. Breaking ball pulled to the right side. Gennett took a while, and it made it kind of a close play. Of course, when you're the second baseman, you do have the joy. You can wait for the ball most of the time. But he was so deep and waited so long that with a hustling player like Utley, that was a lot closer than it should have been. 2 out in the 8th. Here is Seager. Doubled, singled, grounded to third, hitting .281. Little breaking ball for a strike. 0-1. So Kike Hernandez, having shaven his head, getting rid of the long locks. He was batting .190. Also doing it while praying for his dad, who is undergoing cancer treatment. So he shaved it off, and now he hits the home run. 1-1 in the 8th. It will be Carter, Hill, and Neuenhuis in the 9th inning. Breaking ball away. 1-2. Fastball in there. So Seager guessed incorrectly, I guess, although he has a few words with Tim Timmons. But it's the man of the moment, Kike Hernandez, who hits one at the knees and drives it out. And we go to the ninth, 1-1. Tie as the Dodgers finally get off the deck on the pinch hit home run by Kike Hernandez. So Jansen is out there battling to win, not to get a save. He has 161 saves in his great career. 162 will put him ahead of Gagne. Carter, Hill, and Neuenhuis in that order. Chris Carter grounded to first, walked, and struck out. One run, 6 hits for each team. And into the ninth we go. Giants won. Dodgers must win to remain 6.5 back. Giants have won 8 straight, and they're on their way to Pittsburgh. Strike, 0-1. Carter is certainly a threat, but he's a hit or miss guy. 108 home runs in the last couple of years, but he has struck out 87 times. Oh, 0-2. Well, that didn't take long. 3 pitches to take care of Carter, who has now struck out 88 times.
Baseman number 9, Aaron Hill.
1 out. Aaron Hill coming up. Flied to left, struck out twice. 10 strikeouts. So in the 4-game series, Milwaukee has struck out 44 times, averaging 11 strikeouts a game. Wow. Craig Counsell would say a lot more than wow. As my mother would say, they would drive a saint to drink. Wow, 1 ball and no strikes. And a line drive right at Seager for the second out. When the Dodgers come up in the bottom of the 9th inning, they will have Turner, Gonzalez, and Thompson. So don't go wandering off. 1-1 in the 9th. Here's Neuenhuis. Walked, struck out, single to right, stole a base, made a fine catch along the left center field wall, and all in all has been a solid fixture in center field. Ground ball. Gonzalez will take it to the bag, and we will take it to the bottom of the ninth in a 1-1 tie. To envision something that they've already seen. Remember, Justin Turner against Thornburg in the 8th inning, and a big home run to tie it up. The Dodgers walked off, and the Dodgers had a big win. Hitting behind Turner, you have someone who has done it twice, and that would be Trayce Thompson. So the Dodgers first looked to Turner, who was struck out, flied to right, single to center. Thompson, with 2 walk-offs, will be batting behind Gonzalez. So Will Smith gives up his first home run of the year to tie up the game. Thornburg gave up a home run to Turner in the 8th inning, in which the Dodgers won the game 3-2. Turner at the time tying up the game. And then, of course, Turner had the big 3-run home run last night. It's been quite a series for him. Though Justin taking his time before getting in, and Thornburg going to work. 1-1, bottom of the 9th. And a high but very playable fly ball. Bond coming over is Ryan to make the catch. So the fly ball to Braun, 1 pitch, 1 out. And the batter will be Adrian Gonzalez. Thornburg basically fastball, 2 different curves, and a changeup. He also added a cutter. Thornburg is one of those fellows, and we talked about Blaine Boyer being the same way. When you look at his splits, that's a strike. At night, Thornburg's ERA is 0.5, but in the daytime, 5.9, and a drive into center for a base hit. So the winning run is aboard with Adrian Gonzalez. Now talking about walk-offs, introducing you to Trayce Thompson. First there was that one over the left field wall. Trayce will get the hero's treatment, and then the second time, fastball down, and he hits that one out. So Thompson this time coming up with a runner at first, 1 out, and Jock Peterson on deck. With that base hit by Gonzalez, the Dodgers have now out-hit Milwaukee by 1 hit. Dodgers 1 run, 7 hits. Milwaukee 1 run, 6 hits. Milwaukee in one-run games, they are 11-11. Not bad. And that's whacked into right field. Gonzalez takes a look at how deep Flores is, but still stays at second. So first it was Will Smith coming in and gave up the home run. Scott Van Slyke will run at second base for Adrian Gonzalez. How are the Dodgers in one-run games? They're 9-13. Dodgers are break even at home, but on the road in one-run games, they have lost 8 of 12. Jock Peterson grounded out, struck out, popped up. So 2 on. Van Slyke running the winning run, and here's Peterson. We were talking about walk-offs by Turner and 2 by Thompson. Jock Peterson didn't hit a walk-off. Nevertheless, he had a home run in the 6th inning last night. Crowd of 45,931. And Jock stepping in on deck, Howie Kendrick. So Thornburg got an out and then gave up 2 hits. And a strike, 0-1. Last night, Dodgers were breezing. Peterson was in the leadoff role. And in the 6th inning against Torres, he hit one in the right field bleachers. 0-1. Dodgers trying to make it 3 out of 4. The Brewers trying to split. That's a check swing for a strike. All the while, believe me, the Dodgers are fully aware that the Giants have just won their 8th in a row. Giants are heading for Pittsburgh, and the Dodgers will be playing Washington. Oh, 0-2. Kendrick waiting on deck. Garza, Boyer, Smith, Thornburg. 1 out, 9th inning, 1-1. 1-2. After all the scrambling, it was a pinch hitter, Kike Hernandez, who came off the bench batting for Baez and hit a home run to tie up the game. 1-1. Strasburg and Kershaw tomorrow night. Strasburg 10-0, Kershaw 10-1. That should be something. Van Slyke at second, Thompson at first. One and 2. Low throw back and no contact with the ball. Villar trying to cut in there. Maldonado took a shot on strike 3. So we have 2 down, and Howie Kendrick coming up.
Left fielder number 47, Howie Kendrick.
Howie Kendrick grounded to third, single to right, and struck out. He was at third in the 5th inning when Utley grounded out. No play, ball was loose. Dodgers have had 2 men get to third. Utley in the 1st inning with nobody out. Hendrick in the 5th inning. And then, of course, you had Kike Hernandez going all the way. And you had Maeda thrown out trying to go from 1st to 3rd on Seager's single in the 3rd inning. So Kendrick trying to pick up Van Slyke. Ball 1 on deck, A.J. Ellis. Dodgers trying to make it 11 out of 14 at home and 3 straight. Would also mark their 20th win. They would be 20-15 if they do win. Out on the road, they're a break-even 18-18. 1 ball and no strikes. Ball 2. The Dodgers have used Kike Hernandez as a pinch hitter. They've used Van Slyke as a pinch runner. Two on, 2 out, 2-0 the count. Fastball, staggering swing by Howie Kendrick. And if you're in the Sandlot, you'd hear somebody holler, "Hey, only need a single." And the big leagues setting a bad example. 2-1 to count. And ball 3. So A.J. Ellis waiting on deck. Might very well be coming up with the bases loaded. We'll see. Counsell, another excruciating moment for him. 3-1 to Howie Kendrick. And ball 4. So Kendrick to first, Thompson to second, Van Slyke to third, and Yasmani Grandal will come up and bat for Ellis. Grandal is hitting .184. Hitting .190 right, .183 left. He has 5 home runs, 4 of them hitting left-handed. Mike Butcher going out. Check me on that. Derek Johnson going out. So Grandal, who's been catching most of the games. Last night, Grandal had a walk and a double, scored a run. Game before, he went 0 for 4. The game before that, he went 0 for 3. So Grandal hasn't done much with the bat in the series, but he now has a golden opportunity to win it here. Bases loaded, 2 out, 1-1 tie in the 9th inning. All right, Thornburg set, and here we go. Starts breaking ball and misses, ball 1. Will Venable comes out on deck. He would bat for Jansen. Although with 2 out, there's no reason for him to be out there, except the rules demand you have somebody in the on-deck circle. I mean, what is Venable going to do with the bases loaded and 2 out? The Dodgers either win it now or they go into extra innings. However, he must follow the rule. In the old days, the pitcher would always stay in the dugout and the leadoff hitter would go out to the on-deck circle. And they said, no, that's not allowed. That's an advantage to the pitcher. Make him stand out there. However, in this spot, the pinch hitter, Venable, is out in the on-deck circle. 1-1. That is off the plate. Ball 2. Checking Thornburg, as we do with all the pitchers. He has 1 wild pitch, no balk. 2-1. Brewers led from the first inning until KK's pinch hit home run in the 8th, and now the 2-1 pitch. 2-2, foul back. One run, 8 hits for the Dodgers. 1 run, 6 hits for Milwaukee. You have Scott Van Slyke. He's the winning run. Thompson is at second. Kendrick is at first. And a 2-2 count. Way off the plate. All right. You do or not here. 3-2, 2 down, bases loaded, 1-1, bottom of the ninth. 45,931 up and at 'em. Three and two. Way outside. Ball 4. Dodgers win the game 2-1. Take 3 out of 4 from the Milwaukee Brewers and remain 6.5 games behind the winning Giants, who have won 8 in a row. So the Dodgers win a squeaker. They'll settle in now and wait for Washington. Again, that dream matchup tomorrow night. Clayton Kershaw 10-1, and it'll be Steven Strasburg 10-0. Dodgers remain 6.5 games back of the Giants, and certainly the play of the game, the walk to Yasmani Grandal in the 9th inning, bases loaded, 2 out, and the Dodgers have a walk-off winner a different way. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Till then, a very pleasant good afternoon, everybody.